Hi, everyone, and welcome to our next video chat. We've been hearing from producers in agricultural communities across the country as they share their experiences managing the changing landscape brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has not gone away, and our goal through these conversations is to hear from a variety of voices so that we can learn from people all across the country on their experiences farming, ranching, and just living life during this time. So we are so excited today to be able to spend time with Gareth Plank at Scott River Ranch in California. Gareth and his family produce certified animal welfare approved by AGW and certified grass-fed by AGW beef on the ranch, and also recently celebrated a whole decade of certification. So congratulations, Gareth, and just huge thanks to you for taking time out of your day to talk with us. So first, just how are you and your family doing?
Well, it's kind of a, what would you say, a delight of, it's probably an awkward way to start it. We're very fortunate where we live and what we do. And to be honest, Callie, ranching and social distancing is pretty much one and the same, with the exception of, customers and interacting. It's, our ranch is basically 10 square miles, and the only people on the ranch are family and such. So it's kind of a unique situation. And so if I were to be complaining, I don't think any of your listeners or anybody would have much sympathy for me. So in all honesty, we're very fortunate where we live and that we have a bounty of resources around us. So we're one of the very few fortunate people within the country and around the world that can really feel blessed by where we live and what we do.
Can you give our listeners just a little background about you and your ranch and how you got into ranching?
I've only been ranching for 22 years. It's something I always wanted to do, and you kind of either born into a ranch or you win the lottery somewhat. So my background was in finance, and I determined that at 40 I was going to buy a ranch and move my family to the country, and that's what we did. Of course, my wife was one of the lucky ones, and her family's been ranching in California since 1848, and that's so we can kind of tie the two together, and both the ranches are contiguous.
You talked about this just a little bit a moment ago, but can you give any more specifics on how or if the pandemic has impacted your specific ranch or your markets or anything like that?
We started our organic program and animal welfare, as by over a decade ago. And what we have seen is a sea change over the last 15 years of what a consumer wants, that they are more committed to food that's raised on an ethical basis, that's not only supportive of their individual health and family's health, but is indicative and supportive of the ecological well-being as well. So getting back into the changes, we're seeing probably an acceleration of that. Impacted us, I think it's twofold. One, the shortage of animal protein out there because of the closing of a lot of the plants. And the other one is the American consumer has not been able to avoid how those animals are treated, the density of concentration, and how the employees are treated. So it's a double wave that we're seeing.
Do you have a sense of the long-term impacts of COVID-19 on farming or ranching, either just for you and your community or the industry as a whole?
My experience, when things change, maybe you have 100 people move because of necessity, and about 20% of those, or 20 of those people will stick and go, this is actually a better way to live, and this is something that we've incorporated into our lifestyle. So I would say a big part of this will be longer term. And the reason I say it'll be longer term is that it already started in advance of the coronavirus, that people wanted more locally based food and knowledge where it came from, and recognizing that going to the store every afternoon for dinner is probably not the best way to plan your life and your family's meals.
What's the most important thing you want your customers to know about your ranch and the products that you produce?
I would say that probably the most important thing is that they have a choice in how they treat the planet, and they have a choice in how they treat their bodies. In that, I think that we have a very transparent ranch. We've hosted lots of events and love to give tours of the ranch under different circumstances. That our ranch is not gloss. I mean, it makes all of it's a picture postcard, beautiful ranch. It's in the shadow the Marble Mountains and the Trinity Alps. It's absolutely spectacularly gorgeous. But you go out there and people are astounded by what lives on our ranch. We have coho salmon, we have Chinook, we have mountain lions, bear, osprey living on the ranch. And so it's kind of people come out and they just go, this can live with a ranch.
What makes you hopeful for the future?
What makes me hopeful is the younger generation really is seeing the world probably with a little clearer vision, and is demanding that the world be more respectful of the planet and have a more healthful life. That's very encouraging.
And just from your experience and where we are right now, do you have any final tips for producers who are facing challenges right now?
The promise for the ranchers are that there are more and more people caring about what they do and wanting to be supportive of farmers and ranchers that are making a meaningful change to our food system. And I think that's something, there's ups and downs, and you read the newspaper, it's mostly down, but there are more and more customers and neighbors that say, I appreciate what you're doing, and they say that with their billfold.
Well, that brings us to a really nice stopping point for our conversation today. So really, thank you again so much, Gareth. It was a pleasure, and I know that our listeners will appreciate everything that you've shared with us today. And thanks also to our listeners, and I hope everyone stays safe, and be sure to stay tuned for our upcoming interviews.
And I'd like to thank you and the folks at Animal Welfare as well for the support they've given to our ranch and sharing with our customers that there's some authenticity to what we do. So thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gareth.